Hello, everybody. Good evening, my friends. Happy holidays. However it is that you are choosing to spend your holidays, I hope you're very much sitting in the energy of gratitude for whatever that is around you that brings you that sense of joy. And there is always things. It's been a particularly rough year, I know. But I wanted to take a few minutes over this holiday season and express my gratitude and talk about the things that are a few of my favorite things when it comes to the astrological signs and the people in my life that have embodied them. I'm going to talk about all of the qualities that really stand out and lend to the collective as part of the role of these signs. And I'm going to talk about the best, the deepest, and potentially the most challenging romantic signs when it comes to these signs. Of course, romantic astrology is way deeper than the sun sign. All of astrology is. Keep that in mind when I go through these. In the last video, I was doing Capricorn all the way through to Taurus, hoping to get Gemini in, but I ran out of time. Anyway, Gemini, I'm going to start this video with you. There are timestamps below. I forgot to mention that in the last video. There's timestamps below if you want to jump ahead to your sign. All right, Gemini, my gems, my little sparks, a few of my favorite things. Well, first of all, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It rules the third house, and it is mutable air. So it's like a very sprightly energy. And for that reason, to me, as an astrologer, as an official astrologer, it is Tinkerbell energy. It has that impetuous curiosity behind it, but it also has that sassy, come on, Gemini. Because it is ruled by Mercury and it is mutable, it can be very mercurial. In other words, it moves through emotions very quickly and kind of skates across the experience of things. It's like, yeah, I got it. Very quick on the uptake is Gemini. I raised a Gemini. She's grown now, but as a mother of a Gemini, some of my favorite qualities I observed was that curiosity. Now, all kids are about the why this, why that, but a Gemini kid is like tenfold. Everything was why this, mommy, why that, but why is this happening? Most of which she probably had a better chance of figuring out the answer to than I did. And also, along with the why, though, came the imagine. And this truly is one of my favorite things about Gemini. For the same reason that I was talking about before, being mutable, air and skating across and moving quickly, my daughter was always like, reimagining things. Imagine if we did this one. Imagine if we were in a hot air balloon and we were sailing over top of the ocean and then a bird pecked a hole in and the whole story would unroll. Gemini tells the best stories and often make for the best writers. There are tons of Gemini writers because Gemini is all about communication and, like I said, that quick mercurial wit. My seventh house in my birth chart is ruled by Gemini. I don't have any planets there, but what that means is that in relationships, that kind of witty back and forth conversation and that lively eternal why and imagine is very important for me when it comes to long-term relationships. Something I didn't realize until much later on. And it made sense why my daughter and I were so much like that with each other, very symbiotic mentally. Excuse me. The other thing that I did notice, again, with the quickness of Mercury, is that my daughter could focus a lot more under distraction. And I actually find that with other Geminis too. It's like it creatively fuels the thought process. And people would be like, you shouldn't let her study and watch TV and listen to music and eat at the same time. I'm like, don't let her do anything. She's a Gemini. And also, actually, the results were much better if her mind didn't have to focus. It focused more. And that is something I value so much about Gemini energy. Also, as mutable air, and I find this about all the mutable signs, Gemini is incredibly self-navigational. What does that mean? It means their internal compass is very strong. They don't really need the outside world to tell them what to do, what to believe, who they are, even though they rule the third house, which is the house of community. And Gemini is a shapeshifter. And that is why it can move in and out of situations and look like you're there, but you're not really there, you know? Observationally speaking, Gemini is there. They're observing everything, all of the minute details, but not really there. The mind is already doing other things. But that anyway, that self-navigational can be both a very positive quality in Gemini. I love it. They can navigate their emotions with dexterity like crazy, but it can also be very frustrating because trying to get through on that level to a Gemini, we're focusing on our favorite things. I'm not saying that isn't one of my favorite things, but it can definitely be a danger. All right. Geminis can put a supreme focus on the mind, which again makes them very, very intelligent and great writers, great conversationalists, and very, very often great musicians. That self-navigational thing, a lot of Geminis I've known, and famous ones too, Prince is a Gemini, they're very much self-taught, self-guided, and how they go about their compositions and learning what they learn is entirely on that level. It's pretty incredible. They're more natural at many things than any other sign I can think of. They have that eternal child quality, right? Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. But that isn't necessarily a negative thing. In fact, I love it. It brings that curiosity back to that table, that sense of wonder. Gemini marks the transition from spring into summer. And so there has to be that kind of wonder going into summer season, that sense of joy, right? Yeah, they very beautiful poets. Again, the mind. A lot of my favorite poets, and actually the lead singer of my favorite band, he's a poet, he writes all the songs as well, is a Gemini, but it certainly doesn't stop there. It's truly a gift for the words beyond measure, Gemini. Also great actors for that shape-shifting ability, and also for the ability to keep emotionally within themselves while embodying another character. And that can definitely be a tricky thing when you're an actor, right? But Gemini has this ability of being in two places at once. I always say Gemini has the nervous system of a hummingbird, and food can definitely be a thing with Geminis. In other words, they can be incredibly choosy and go in trends with the food. I did notice this as well. And it also doesn't generally play a huge role in the Gemini existence because very mental energy. They can spend their whole day all up in there. And the attention to detail, let's get to that for a minute because I have no air anywhere in my chart and certainly no Gemini. My attention to detail is not really there. And for my daughter, that could be very frustrating because down to the minutiae, again, which is an incredible skill to have, very good organizers, Geminis. There can be a bit of an inflexibility with that air energy, but you already know that. All right, let me see, did I miss anything? Oh, Stevie Nicks. Yes, of course. Stevie Nicks is a Gemini. There we have that writing again. But there's always a little bit of a sexy witchiness below the surface of every Gemini. Don't let them fool you. Male or female, they're very magical. Again, Tinkerbell. Okay. The best matches when it comes to romantic relationships. And remember, it does go much, much deeper than the sun, but still. The best matches, in my opinion, first of all, Virgo. And we're doing the unusual again. We're going to the sign right beside you, Gemini. And in astrology, they say that's never going to be a good match. I disagree. I've observed it to be. But what I love about Virgo is that they are also ruled by Mercury. So that wittiness is there, that ability to understand your thought process, Gemini. And also they're very nurturing energies. And with that hummingbird nervous system of yours, that earthiness can calm you down and also nurture you in a very practical day-to-day way. Many Geminis can, despite your attention to detail, can become so mentally involved that you kind of miss out on the organization of your day. Gemini can, or Virgo can bring a groundedness to that I find it a very, very harmonious combination. You wouldn't think so with Earth and Air, but that one works. Probably because of Mercury. I love Leo for Gemini. You fuel each other. Leo carries with it also, again, that nurturing quality, but you fuel each other's fire, that's for sure. And there does seem to be just, again, a natural understanding of each other's process. There's a mutual respect with Gemini and Leo that I've seen as well. I really do. And a loyalty, a willingness to work as a team. And then Capricorn is kind of the outlier there for you, Gemini. This is interesting too, though, because my grandmother was a Capricorn. My daughter's a Gemini. I am a Cancerian. And it's well known always through life. I'm my grandma's favorite. No favorites, but we got along so well until my daughter was born, and then my daughter became the favorite. And she deserved it, but just a little sparkle that the Capricorn, my grandma, just loved to witness in action. And man, did she make her laugh, because Geminis are very funny also because of that. Very deep and very surprising for a Gemini is a Pisces. I have yet to figure that one out. Well, Pisces is your fellow mutable. Also, they're a bit of shapeshifter energy as well. But I find they can move in and out of your moods, emotions, and thoughts all the way along with you, Gemini, without judging you along the way. And also very important for a Gemini, not judging you along the way and making you feel like you're a little silly, but also not taking it too seriously, not tying you down to any one thought as if your thoughts are commitments. Pisces is able to, again, move with the flow. It works very well, even though it is square to you as your fellow mutable, but it brings kind of a wateriness that I think that Gemini can really value. And it's calm. A challenge, Aries. Aries is cardinal fire, and it can fire up Gemini in the worst of ways. There can definitely be a lot of mental combat with an Aries. There can be a lot of resistance. I don't know. I've seen a few Aries Gemini interactions where I'm like, I'm going to stand over there and see how this goes. Perhaps that passion, though, could be transmuted into something very beautiful for each other, right? Co-creation. Passion's never a bad thing in a connection. I just find there's something there. There's a stubbornness in the mental level. And also Aries is Mars energy, male or female. It's quite masculine. Gemini is mutable, again, Tinkerbell energy, not liking to be controlled in any way. And Aries maybe can give Gemini that kind of a feeling. And Sag, isn't that interesting? Sagittarius is your opposite sign, Gemini. And I don't always say that the opposite sign is going to be not a fit. But in this, well, okay, it's not that it's not a fit, but in this case, it can be a big, big challenge. Mutable fire is Sagittarius, and their lack of attention to detail can drive you nuts. And also the optimism. Because Gemini, it's not that you're not an optimistic sign, it's that, again, very mental. You can't just say it's going to be okay. Let's see why. Why again? But Gemini and Sag can come together in the land of imagination as well. So we do have that. All right, my Gemmy Gems, that's what I have for you. Again, I hope you're having a beautiful holiday season. We're going to move on now to Cancer, my brethren, my fellow Cancerians. I have a sun at 29 degrees of Cancer, so in the anaretic degree, which means it contains all of the karmic lessons of Cancer, but it's also kind of the full embodiment of that principle. I do understand the Cancerian process, as well as any Cancerian can understand their process, and you know what I'm talking about, Cancer. You're ruled by the moon. The moon is a mystery, to say the least, and it ebbs and flows. Not only that, there's always a dark side to the moon, and there's always that magnetic pull. You are cardinal water. So again, incredibly deep, and most of the emotional process happens so far down below the surface that by the time it surfaces, it can take you and other people by a little bit of surprise, especially the ferocity of the waves it can surface with. Because they seem to come out of nowhere, it's not true that they do, but they can seem that way. Cancer is a very empathic sign. And so every day, all day with interactions with people, you are empathying. What does that mean? It's not the same as sympathy. It's not the same as listening to people's problems or their stories or anything like that and being like, yeah, I can see how that would be really hard for you. Empathy is when you're interacting with another person, you can feel what they feel. And that can be very, very misguiding, but also hard to track in a day. You never know what's getting below the surface there, Cancer. Okay. Yes, ruled by the moon, you also rule the fourth house. No surprise, the house of the home, the house of the mother. And I will reiterate here that although every astrological sign has kind of a ruling principle, Cancer, the moon, the mother, the fourth house, that is our principle to master, and therefore often quite a struggle for us in our lives. Learning how to master it and navigate it properly is the Cancerian challenge. Many Cancerians have a very deep, involved, and complicated emotional relationship with their mothers. I particularly notice this with masculine Cancerians, but true of the feminines as well. And oh my gosh, where did my mind just go? There was a thought following that. It may return. Oh yes, Cancer is one of the signs in the zodiac that, to me, has the greatest behavioral difference in its feminine to masculine expression. Cancerian men are far different, at least in how they show outwardly or how they behave. Their modus operandi is far different than a Cancerian feminine. I won't go too far into that in this video because these are a few of my favorite things, but this is one of the signs I note that with. And therefore the Cancerian masculine relationship with the mother is much different than the feminine's. Also, cardinal water. We talked about that already. Your opposite sign is Capricorn, though. So there is always a hidden part of Cancer, that dark side of the moon, a hidden part of Cancer that is able to back away from the emotions, no matter how deep they get. That's the thing. When people first meet Cancerians, they tend to be very emotionally inviting. The feminines very particularly, but the men too. I call them Lancelot, and I call the feminines Cinderella. But anyway, they can be very nurturing, very open, very emotionally warm, and it's all genuine. But the reason why they can be, like, people have often said it to me, right? You let people in too soon. And I'm like, that's because I have that Capricornian core where I am able to move away from the emotions if they're not doing me any good. And I trust myself in that fashion. And most Cancerians do too. Again, the most intuitive sign in the zodiac, you move by feel, the moon and the ocean. But also simultaneously, what I have found and experienced for myself with Cancerians, one of the reasons they can give their all, or I'm sorry, if they cannot, if they suss it out where it's unsafe or it can't be handled properly or somebody can't take the depths of that emotional process, if those things become obviously not there, then Cancerian will tend to disappear. Are they loyal? Yes, they will carry the emotions in their heart. But again, if a Cancerian must detach for those reasons, then they can. And when they do, it's absolute. It's like, to a Cancerian, them having to moderate their amount of care or emotional input for any reason is a very painful experience. And it also shuts down the intuition, which is a no-go with Cancerians. Surprisingly, Cancerians are very freedom loving. Again, very few people know that. They need room to ebb and flow. They need room to change. And they definitely often need a lot of time alone. I call it the four-walled world, where it's like you can just go in there and get acquainted with all of those feelings that lay way below the ocean and how you feel and where you stand. Because again, sometimes those waves can be squalls. The Cancerians carry the love with them. Think of the crab like a shell around you, but the crab is nomadic. It's a traveler, and it carries that warmth and that energy as they move about the world, but rarely actually are Cancerians content to not move about the world. They're very great travelers. They're into foreign cultures a lot. Most Cancerians I've known, male or female, you can find them in the kitchen cooking up all kinds of different cuisines. Cancerians are great cooks, and they do like to nurture that way. They love feeding people. Okay. Oh, yes. Well, I think that most Cancerians' emotions are quite mysterious, even to themselves. Because of what I said before, we always have the dark side of the moon. We always have that other side pulling at us. We are the chariot in the major arcana. You'll see that dark sphinx and that light sphinx. And on the chariot with the charioteer, there's rarely any rein steering that horse. It's run by intuition. But you have to be in alignment. Otherwise, Cancer, and you know this well, your feelings and your intuition is going to pull that chariot, which is your life, all over the place. So being able to hear your own intuition, no matter what, is number one for Cancer. See what else is in here. I've had several very, very important masculines in my life, and most of them are in the role of paternal. My grandfather, my father, and the father of my daughter, all Cancerian men. So that paternal fatherly quality that Cancer can embody is definitely there. Most Cancerian men end up having quite a lot of children, or children are very important in their life. Surprisingly, I know a lot of Cancerian women who don't have any children. I myself stopped at one, which obviously I started very early. So that's a surprising one, right? For the house of the mother. But also interesting, right? The house of the home. And Cancer is a nomad. The dark and light side of the moon can also be like the slogan I give to Cancer. I need to reconcile the homemaker in my heart with the gypsy in my soul. Cancerians are beautiful creators. Some of my favorite writers, I speak with no bias. Chris Cornell of Soundgarden, one of my favorite poets of all time. Franz Kafka, Cancer. I mean, Ernest Hemingway. I could just go on and on. Because the best way for Cancerians to truly understand, feel, and express their emotions is by creativity of some kind. And poetry speaks the language of emotion. So many Cancerians are beautiful, beautiful writers. And chefs. You'll often see a Cancerian teacher as well for that nurturing quality. All right, let's move to the best and the worst Cancer. The best, Aquarius, a surprising outlier. I did mention that in Aquarius's reading in the other video. But briefly, it is because there's kind of like a recognition within each other that just surpasses any kind of intellectual understanding. Cancerians can see the heart of an Aquarius, and they do recognize how deep it truly runs. They can see what few people can, and also they bring out the poetry in each other. Aquarians and Cancers can very much inspire each other. It's quite an interesting dynamic. Virgo, I don't know. They just are. Virgos are the sixth house of the zodiac, though, which is the house of health, well-being, nurturing, what's good for you, alignment. And since Cancer is the fourth house of the home, so home for those two coming together can be very beautiful and very dedicated. They both have a quiet energy. Cancer a little bit less so, but they do. And so a relationship between a Virgo and a Cancer can have a lot unsaid, but a lot known, and in a very good way. They're very symbiotic in an energetic fashion, and they do seem to know what each other needs when it comes to nurturing. Taurus, very similar for that reason. With Taurus, I'm going to bring in an added reliability and steadfastness. I have my moon in Taurus, and I think it's my saving grace in this life, especially because we are ruled by the moon. So we have that ebb and flow. Taurus is fixed earth. That constant steadiness can be a very good thing. And also, Taurus is very much ruled with security, or concerned with security and being safe. And every Cancerian does like to have that in their life. Safe, right, Cancer? That's different than not held down, though, right? Deep Scorpio. It just goes on and on with Cancer and Scorpio. I've had many, many important Scorpios in my life, and also it's dominant in my own chart. But they're fearless with each other when it comes to emotions. Needless to say, the intimacy happens on a soul level, on a very essence level with a Scorpio and a Cancer. However, because of the depth, it can be kind of intoxicating. It can be very difficult to emotionally extricate for both parties. And it can keep you in kind of a hypnotic twosome where it's like only us in this bubble that is our world. And I would say the same thing for Pisces, all of those things. Well, a little bit different energy, but Capricorn is actually very deep for Cancer. It is our opposite sign. And so Capricorn has the ability to withstand the emotions of Cancer without trying to bring you down with them. Like, all those things I said before about my grandmother in the Capricorn video, they bring a containment to the moon so that it isn't always on the flux like that, so that the chariot isn't always going all over the place, but done so with sort of a grounded respectfulness. I just love Capricorns, and it can go very deep. Saturnian energy can take the moon to some very, very deep places. And the challenge, Libra. Okay. Libra is our cardinal, is our fellow cardinal. It's square to Cancer. And it can be, there's so many good things. There's so many good things about the Libra Cancer interaction. In fact, again, they can fuel each other up in a beautiful way. The moon and Venus coming together. Sexually speaking, it's incredibly dynamic and performative, which is fun. But I think for Libra, sensing that emotional depth below the surface of Cancerians can be a bit of a problem. And so when the squall eventually happens, it's seismic, and it can take them both by surprise. Pamela Anderson is a Cancer. She was married twice to Tommy Lee, who is a Libra. That dynamic tells you a lot right there. And Sagittarius, I just think Sagittarius and Cancerians, they can come together in some ways. They can come together when it comes to the imagination. They can come together when it comes to carrying out a project. When it comes to the romantic world, I just don't see it. Cancerians are, again, the home, and Sag is the wanderer. So, okay, the gypsy, yeah, but the home. And Saggy can be a little too freedom oriented for a Cancer for sure. But also Sagittarians don't like to dwell in the deep depths of emotion necessarily, not because they can't, but because they're coming out of Scorpio. So they've already done all that. They want to have fun. They want to expand. They want to move on. And I'm not saying Cancer doesn't, but because you work so intuitively, being in the emotional depths is essential. So there can be a fundamental difference in the language between a Cancer and a Sagittarius. All right, you guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, so we'll put an edit here. Oh my God, I didn't even do the oracles. I've been doing this the whole time. I'm going to timestamp the oracles after the sign. We're going to go to Gemini. Gemini. I am sorry, guys. I'm all over the place. Gemini. Let's do your oracle cards. I'm so sorry, Gem. Let's do a sacred rebel. I'm back for Gemini. For Gemini, please. You get two, and I'm not surprised. Releasing allegiances, Gemini. That's interesting. Now, that could be you moving out of friendship groups or communities or long held things that are way past their due. You are the third house of the zodiac, Gemini, and that is about friendship groups, siblings, our direct community, the ideas, and the people who influence our opinions. And all over this lady, there is all of these tiny bees. It's like they're pollinating off of her. So you could be releasing situations from your past. And then we have the word wants to be written. Now, Aquarius got this card as well. So Aquarius could be a big energy for you right now. But the word wants to be written. And I went on and on about how many Geminis make for such great communicators and writers. So it could be that you want to, I don't know, we'll see what the release allegiances is about for you. You probably already know. But the word wants to be written. Maybe we have come to life. You got something to say. Interesting. The word wants to be written is number 42. If we add and reduce it, it's number 6, which is the lovers of the major arcana, which is your major arcana, Gemini. So the word wants to be written and releasing allegiances. This could have you having to have very difficult conversations, making difficult choices about leaving perhaps the past in the past or releasing yourself from long-term situations. Interesting. Let's get you a major arcana, Gemini. What is the ruling energy for Gem next year? Releasing allegiances is number 10. That's the number of the Wheel of Fortune in the major arcana, which is Sagittarius energy, your opposite sign. Next year is also number 10, 2026 reduced. So we have the Hermit, Virgo's major arcana. Now this could be, you could be dealing with a Virgo, but I think this is you turning that mercurial energy inward and finding where your truth is leading you to go, Gem, separate from what anybody in your community, friendship group, perhaps siblings or family tells you is true for you. You've been doing a lot of soul searching. And on the bottom of the deck, we got the Lovers, difficult choice. And the thing is, Gemini, that the Lovers card and Gemini energy represents inner duality, is that flexibility, immutable air again, right? But making that choice is difficult because it's two parts of you. It can be the past and the future. Not necessarily, but whatever it is. This is you looking within. Maybe you feel like you don't belong where you once belonged anymore. And next year has you letting it go. Okay, Gemini, let's get you a star codes. Let's take a look at the astrology influencing you. Could be in your chart or somebody around you. I love this for you. Well, that Hermit's going to come out of the cave with a new kind of clarity, a new kind of certainty, but also this is a rebirth card. You could be dealing with a Leo too. Geminis often are. The sun is Leo's ruler. I love that. Brightness. Once you do this, Gemini, there comes the sun for you. 12th house on the bottom. I haven't been doing the bottom of the deck in these, but I did look. Pisces, your fellow cardinal, and it is the house of reinvention. Next up is the first house again. Let's take a look at some love energies for you coming up next year, Gem. From the True Love reading, cards for Gemini. Chivalry. Taurus got chivalry. I do like this. It's like somebody coming to your rescue, and maybe it's because you're changing communities, but maybe it's because somebody's not treating you very well, very chivalrous. Male or female chivalry is an important thing. It shows that they respect you and they want to help you. And that could be coming in for you. On the bottom, we have the garden. I'm doing bottoms for you, Gem. Well, anything happens when I'm dealing with Gemini. We have the garden on the bottom of the deck. I love it because that's very much Virgo energy. And what did I say about you in Virgo? The garden is very patient energy, and it's things that grow with time, slowly nurtured. And we have that sun here too. Okay. Let's get you some talisman, Gemini. Consider these to be like power words that you can take away from the reading if they resonate with you. We have success. I don't know what this is about for you. Maybe you're releasing a workplace situation. It could be for some of you. But also success is just saying getting out of whatever these allegiances are. And then we have confidence for you. That's Leo energy, and that might be the sun as well. But stepping into whatever you're stepping into or proceeding into your new reality, Gemini, could require a level of confidence from you that you're mustering up inside. Okay. What else was I doing in these readings? I did astrology. I did this. We did some talisman. Can't even remember now. This is how it is to be me, Gemini. This is why I frustrate most Geminis. But we'll close with a moon card for you. Let's get some moon cards for Gemini. And what do we have? Last quarter moon in Taurus. Out of yourself. Perfect. Let's do one more. Oh man, I love that. Whatever it is you're releasing, Gem. Full moon in Libra. Find a balance. All right, Gemini. That's what I have for you. I'm sorry about your oracle cards. I'm going to put these away and then I'll record for you, Cancer. We'll pull for you. Okay. Cancer, as I was putting them away, the card that says protection flew out of the deck. So that could apply for you. We'll see. I'm putting Gem's cards back in the center of the deck. And we will get some for Cancer. Remember, this will be time-stamped. Okay. From the Sacred Rebels for Cancer. Ooh, someone is bottom. Beyond the mind, the heart beats. Enough said, Cancer. I kind of said that through your whole reading. And I love how she's underneath the water. There's fish swimming around her. And she's getting in touch with the cosmos. It isn't about what you think. That's just not your style. Cancerians are very intelligent people, yes. But you're informed by the heart. And that's what this is saying. Beyond the mind, the heart beats. Okay. Cancer. Same difference. Feels, she knows, based on everything that you've been through in your life, Cancer. So your intuition, I mean, next year could be amping up in a huge way. You could be making that a conscious effort, maybe diving more into your spiritual practices, but definitely about trusting yourself more. I like that for you, Cancer. No! Can you see what that says? It says, trust yourself. Feels, she knows. Love it. I'm so thirsty. I apologize. Okay, let's get you a major. You know what? Could I make it up? Not if I tried. Number 21 and number 22 in sequence. Let's get a major for Cancer. Scorpio with death and rebirth, reinvention. And this, she feels, she knows. This could be part of what's coming up for you. Now, this is super interesting because 2025 is the year of the snake in Chinese astrology, Scorpio energy for me, but also death and rebirth, transformation. And your intuition here could be coming much, much deeper. Yeah. Area bottom. Let's get some astrology. What do we have? Capricorn energy. Interesting, right? Cancer, your opposite sign. Now, you could be stepping a lot more into developing your psychic abilities and your intuition as you guide through your career. Capricorn is the 10th house. It's our legacy. It's our legend. It's our career. It's like self-mastery on an outside level in the 3D. Let's get you one more. We have communication, and then we have Leo energy. Leo energy right beside you. Leo is all about embracing your own confidence and your own ability to step into leadership. That again could be part of your reinvention too, Cancer. Like believing in yourself, stepping into your confidence. We have Mercury right here, communication. So for a lot of you, it could have to do with communicating, writing, something like that. This Leo card says shine. It says achieve messages and shine. Beautiful, Cancer. Next year is going to be a big year for you. We have Jupiter in our sign, and that is supposed to bring luck and expansion. But man, 2025 seems to have been just really rocky. Leo is also the 5th house, which is the house of creativity. So could be dealing with a Leo as well. Let's get you a love card. Let's see the love energies. A connection, and a very harmonious one at that, Cancer. This couple is off on a desert island by themselves. I do like to point out on the table over here, there's 2 glasses of champagne and an envelope sealed with a heart. There's musical notes wrapped all around these 2. And we got creativity. I'm doing another one because I am a Cancer. I want to see another one. Yin and yang, Cancer. Beautiful musical notes of harmony. This is the divine balance of masculine and feminine. Now, Leo is ruled by the sun. You're ruled by the moon. This could be somebody coming into your life, Cancer, but it can also be you stepping into that success within yourself. But I'm feeling like, oh, okay, maybe not. We have intimacy. Notice how they're in the bath together, all intertwined around each other, but also the water. Nothing hides there. She feels. Beautiful. Let's get you some talisman. Consider these to be like power words that you can take away from the reading. Cancer, for a lot of you, I've been getting like career and love coming together all through last year. Learn the truth. Get another one. Interesting. Karmic justice. This could have something to do with your career. We have Scorpio energy here. Scorpio is karmic justice. Okay. And passion. Leo energy. Karmic justice is about finally getting what you deserve. And as I mentioned, and she feels she knows, she's all beat up. She's been through a lot here. Okay. Let's do a moon card for you, Cancer. Did we get you a major? Yeah, we did. We got death and rebirth. Okay. First quarter moon in Sagittarius, believe in your good luck. Okay. First quarter moon in Aries, step into your power. I'm saying with that Leo energy. And first quarter moon in Capricorn, unleash your kindest self. I don't know what that's about for you. Could be having to have a very difficult conversation coming up. Let's do one more. Full moon in Leo, go wild. We have that Leo energy twice here. It's the sign right next to you, but also you could be stepping into that energy within yourself, as I mentioned. All right, Cancer, that's what I have for you. Now I am going to take a break. I'll put an edit here, though, and we will come back and do Leo. I love you guys. I'll see you in a minute. All right, I apologize. I've taken my break. Let's get into my Leo friends. And when I say my Leo friends, I mean my Leo friends, of which I have tons. Of course, I have Venus, Mercury, and Saturn in Leo. My sun is a degree and a half away in Cancer, so I'm prominent in Leo energy myself, which explains the symbiosis. But Leo is the sun, they're everybody's friend. They bring the warmth, they bring the joy, they bring the party. That's what I love about Leo. It's one of the things. We're going to go a lot deeper, which very few people tend to do with Leo, unfortunately. Leo is the righteous babe to me, and those two things are very important. We have the righteousness, which is the heart and soul of Leo, which demands justice and truth and courage and all of those wonderful things. There is quite a depth to the Leo soul, but also we have the babe, because Leo is the sun, and you do understand that to be heard, you have to be seen. And that is kind of, next comes Virgo, where we head into the cave. But that can be something very few people understand. Ruled by the sun, again, people expect the brightness to go on and on at times, and it just can't do. It requires fuel in return, which can be hard to come by for a lot of Leos. The fifth house of the zodiac is Leo's, which is creativity, passion, activity, often sports and physical activity. Many Leos are runners or very athletic or into competitive sports. It is important to the personality, so I suggest that absolutely. You need an expression for all of that fixed fire energy. And also, children are in the house of the fifth house, the house of the inner child, the house of inner play. And that can definitely be something that Leo brings to the table in a very big way, especially in other people. And that's the interesting thing about Leo, right? You're the sun, you project out. You're good at showing the fun in other people and bringing it out in them and bringing out their joy, no matter how deep it's hidden. We'll get to that. But finding that within yourself, the sun turning inward, is much more difficult to do. So when people say that Leos need a lot of praise, no, they need to be valued. It is a much different thing. Leo is not subject to flattery. It's much deeper than that. There's a line from a Ben Harper song. He's actually a Scorpio, but it always reminds me of Leo in romantic relationships. He says, "Please please me like you want to, not like you have to. Your presence here ain't nobody's blessing. I've got plenty of other things that I could do." And Leo always has plenty of other things that they could do. So if somebody thinks they're going to get below your surface with flattery, Leos will take it in for sure and use it as fuel. But behind that is the knowledge that there's no authenticity. And that's often very mistaken about Leo. Your opposite sign is Aquarius, so you're incredibly astute at judging people's characters. One of my favorite people ever throughout history, possibly my long lost soulmate. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Carl Jung, the amazing psychologist, philosopher, doctor, spiritualist, very, very dominant in Leo energy. Again, I have Venus and Mercury in Leo, so for me, it really does speak to me. He does. Elliott Smith, one of my favorite singer-songwriters, a lot of Leo musicians and writers, possibly no surprise there. Leo can be quite academic, and a lot of people are surprised about that too. Because again, the beauty, the sun, the glamour of it all, yes, there, but again, Aquarius below the surface, inquisitive, intelligent as heck, and always, always wanting to go deeper below people's surface, even though they don't see that. Are they loyal? Yes. Leo is loyal to a fault, I would say. They got no quitting sense. They have the strength card there, right? And they're not, again, courage too, afraid of nothing. The problem with that, okay, will Leo walk away? Yes. Again, if feeling not valued, not truly seen, Leo has to be the one. That's different than arrogant, right? Because they truly are the one. They put so much effort into their relationships. If there's other situations that seem to dominate that, then Leo's like, well, then I'm not the one. It's just like that. To be they're the sun, right? Okay, I digress. Yes, okay. So if they're not feeling like they're the one, or that they're being valued, will Leo walk away? Yeah. But it isn't easy. And to get the porch light to actually turn off is pretty much impossible. Because of that, a lot of Leos, those two things actually, are drawn into relationships and partnerships that tend to delve into the more shadowy sides of life or the darker things. Again, because you are the sun, but because of that craving for depth. Leos are very psychologically fascinating people and fascinated. Aquarius, but think about Carl Jung. He was the master of exploring the human psyche, and he did so in such a holistic way, which is Leo energy again. Okay. Okay, so there's an adventurousness and a fearlessness behind the love of a Leo, that's for sure. But again, it can take you into shadowy places, which is beautiful. The sun shines the brightest in the dark, right? But you know the caution that carries, which as a footnote, Leo, and I feel I can talk to you about this because Leos are very philosophical by nature. We use that term narcissism a lot, right, in common parlance. And that is taken from a Greek archetype, and there are a lot of Greek archetypes. But for some reason, we latch onto that one. Why don't we call Leos a Persephone when it comes to their love life? Persephone, who went into the underworld to be the bride of Hades. A lot of Leos, male or female, that tends to be dominant in your romantic energy, but nobody's ever like, she's a Persephone or he's a Persephone. I don't get it. Anyway, I do love that about Leo. Your courage, your ability to see the light in other people and to show them what's truly possible in them. The sun holds its object of affection in high regard and offers supercharged nurturing in the form of support and all kinds of things, right, Leo? And it isn't that that golden vision of the object of your affection isn't true, but as I mentioned, it can be kind of take you into some pretty shadowy places, and sometimes if people are in the shadows that far, that much sunshine can be a little blinding, right? To you both. That's all I'm going to say, Leo. Remember, strong Leo in my chart. Okay. Is that everything I wanted to say? Leos are incredibly hard workers. They do respond well to schedules and to routines because it helps them harness their focus. And that's a big thing. If you can harness your focus, Leo, then you're unstoppable and very energetic by nature. I do know a lot of Leos can go the other way, but that is like because the expression is being forced to turn inward, right? So, okay, let's get to your best romantic options or matches, in my opinion, of course, Leo. But first up, Libra. Well, it's your best, but it's also one of the most, let's say, dangerous. Leo, it can take you into some interesting places with a Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, Leo the sun, Libra likes to have a muse, and Leo loves to be a muse. So that relationship can be very playful. There can be a lot of humor. The sex is very sweet and fun, generally speaking. And it can be very inspiring as well. There can be a lot of respect with a Leo and a Libra, but definitely a lot of play and a lot of fun. To what degree that can become an issue with those two, and that's why I said dangerous. There can be a bit of a one-upmanship in terms of the play, let's just say that, or the party, or however it comes out, right? So that can be a bit of a problem. F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald were a Leo-Libra combination and perfectly exemplify that. I mentioned Aquarius, and Aquarius is reading as your opposite sign. So obviously, I love oppositions in astrology. There can be challenges, but Aquarius is able, it has a steadying effect on Leo and understands, can truly see the brilliant mind behind the sun. Aquarius looks for that in a person because they don't like to be blinded by superficiality. But it's a beautiful combination in Leo and Aquarius in many ways. And I have them included in the category of depth. And that's why, too. Again, they can see the true you below the sun. And Virgo. Virgo and Leo is such a fascinating combination, and I see it a lot. Virgo's the hermit. So if we're going to talk about the underworld and Persephone, Virgo and Leo can have a bit of that combination with them. But also Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so they're very smart. They're very mentally adept. And intelligence in a partner is important to them as it is to Leo. So there can be a brilliant intellectual discourse between a Virgo and a Leo. And also, like I said, they bring a groundedness to the Leo energy, and Leo brings the sun, as always. A big challenge for Leo can be Sag. Fellow fire sign, you're both very dominant energies. The thing about it is that both of you have a strong idea of who you are, what you want, leadership qualities, all of these things. And those can definitely come up against each other. But Leo, you can be a little bit more of a people pleaser, or again, wanting to be the one to make the situation okay, than a Sag, because Sages are so independent. They're mutable fire. They're just moving on and moving on and moving on. So there can be a bit of a challenge there. It can also be very dynamic and beautiful. All of these things can, I'm just saying, to overcome that can be a little bit difficult. That can bring a lot of adventure too, and it carries with it the same caution that I would give to Libra. You might have to rein that in a little bit. Okay, Leo, let's get you some oracles. I forgot for Cancer and Gemini. I forgot for Capricorn. I am not forgetting for my Leo friends. In terms of creative gifts, they're unlimited. You do rule the fifth house, Leo. So it can be everything from, I've known textile designers to architects to musicians, absolutely, definitely writers, but into the field of academia and sports too, with a lot of Leo. All right. Let's get you a Sacred Rebels. Let's see some of the spiritual energy coming up for you, no way, in 2026. From the Sacred Rebels for Leo. Defend to the end the worthwhile. Ooh, so fierce, Leo, and one of my favorite cards. And what was I saying about the righteous babe? Defend the worthwhile. What's worth fighting for? The Strength card. We'll see what that's about, but I love that for you. On the bottom, seeing the true you. Interesting, Leo. Let's get you a majors only. But defend to the end the worthwhile. There's an owl in her headpiece, and it's like her third eye sees all. Interesting, Leo. Can be about defending your thoughts, defending who you are, your vision. You get to. We have the Faith card. which is a bonus in this deck. But faith to me is about believing in that heart of yours, trusting that what you feel is, oh my gosh, we have death and rebirth, reinvention. Cancer had that card too. Okay. Oh, Leo, that's pretty powerful cards. We have reinvention here. Now there's something like it's defending your own identity, your own autonomy, who you are, and your unique vision with that owl there. This is transformation for Leo. And next year, the North and South Node plus the eclipses are in your and Aquarius's sign. So that's interesting. Okay, let's get you an astrology card. We have Chiron. Wow. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's from our wounds and the understanding of them that we can become healers. But with this faith and defend to the end. Healing. We have Sag on the bottom of the card. Yeah, you're definitely overcoming something in this coming year, Leo. With the South Node, too. Leaving things in the past. Let's do one more for you. We have the North Node. No, leaving things in the past. Next year, I think it's in July, the North Node moves from Pisces into your opposite sign of Aquarius. And I do love that for you, Leo. It's like a release of energy or an expansion in some way. There's been a time of healing where you've done all the healing you need to do. I mean, you could be stepping into your gifts a lot here as a healer. I mean, we have faith here and we have death and rebirth. So it could be like, I know that's going deep, but faith healing, something like that. Okay. And let's get a love card for you. Let's get some overall energy dominating your love story. I know it's been a challenging one for the last couple of years for Leo. But let's see. Emotional freedom. And I said there's like a release with that North Node. And maybe from whatever was hurting you with this Chiron energy, you could have gone through a lot. And maybe it was part of your spiritual training again. You rule the heart. I love this Aquarius energy, right? And that's the North Node in Aquarius, basically, right there. On the bottom, we have connection. Who had it? Who had it? I don't remember. Okay. Let me see. What do I feel? Leo, let's get you some talisman. I feel a true love reading card, and I didn't get that for everyone, but I'm doing what I feel. Mindfulness, defend to the end the worthwhile. Mindfulness. Aquarius energy. And then destiny. And Leo, very cool coming up for you here. This mindfulness could have been about the healing, whatever it was that you were going through all through the last couple of years. Let me get you one more. Destiny, the North Node, following your destiny, confidence. That's you. And then on the bottom, willpower, the strength card. That's amazing. And to the end, the worthwhile. I mean, that's your reinvention with death and rebirth here. And this is the year of reinvention in so many ways, Leo. Okay. I was feeling, we'll do a moon card for you because I did one for everyone else, but I am being guided to do a true love reading card, so we will. Leo. Last quarter moon in Sagittarius, practice gratitude. Maybe that's part of that healing, right? And emotional freedom. Interesting. First quarter moon in Cancer, push through any insecurities. Got that with the confidence. Okay. And we get Sag again. First quarter moon in Sag. Believe in your good luck. We have destiny right here. Sting Leo. Oh, well, yeah, next year, the nodes of destiny in your sign and Aquarius. Okay, let's get you a true love reading card because I just feel compelled. Leo. Sexual union. Honor the place in one another where you are one eternal soul. For there you will find true bliss. You could be dealing with an Aquarius. Surrender. At times we must surrender the old before something new can enter our lives. Let go and all will work out. Faith. Defend to the end. I don't know what the defend to the end, but this is letting go of whatever's holding you back so that you can activate your destiny, because it's right here, Leo. You got the nodes of destiny. It could be a new relationship coming in as well. All right. That's what I have for you, Leo. I love you guys very much. That's what I have for everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful holiday, my friends. Namaste.